stable measure of central tendency?
The answer is mean. The mean, median, and mode are all valid measures of central tendency. But under different conditions, some measures of central tendency become more appropriate to use than others. The mean, often called the average, is most likely the measure of central tendency that you are most familiar with, but there are others, such as the median of the mode. Mean is considered as most stable central tendency because it uses all the observation in any given distribution.
A measure of central tendency that is sensitive to extreme values.
The mean is sensitive to all scores in sample. Every number in the data affects the mean, which makes it a more powerful measure than the median or mode. The mean sensitivity to all scores also makes it sensitive to extreme values, which is why the mean is used when are extreme values.
Number 3 question. It is calculated by adding all values, then dividing the sum by the number of the value. My answer is letter A, because the mean of a data set is the sum of the value divided by the number of the values. Number 4 question. The most stable measure of variability. My answer is letter D, standard deviation. Because in order to overcome all these difficulties, we use other measure of diversion called standard deviation.
Question number 5. It used with the median to classify a class into 4 groups. The answer is quartile deviation. Quartile is a type of quantile which divided the number of data points into 4 parts or quarter or more or less equal size. The quartile deviation or QD is the product of half between the lower and upper quartile. What are the 4 quartile? First quartile, the lowest 25% of number. The second, between 25.1% and 50% up to median. Third quartile, 51% to 75% above the median. And fourth quartile, highest 25% of number.
Okay, questions number 1. Miss Donna is doing a performance-based assessment for the day lesson. Which one is expected to happen in her classroom? A. Students are evaluated in one sitting. B. Students are evaluated in the most objective way. C. Students are do actual demonstrative of their skill. D. Students' evaluation is based on varied evidence of learning. So my answer is letter C, because as a student, you must be true to your teacher so that when you do not understand what you are discussing, he can explain it well to you. Okay, let's proceed to the next question. Which of the following statement is not true to alternative assessment? A. It allows for student choice account varied styles, ability, and interests. B. It is an assessment where students are to create responses to question. C. It differs with traditional assessment in the method used. Letter D. It is a new assessment approach in education. So, my answer is letter A, because as a teacher, you will not let your student choose the ability or interest in something, especially if it will not be good for them as a student. Thank you.
A non-traditional assessment tool used to assess students' performance through the use of detailed description of performance standards is called portfolio because it is a collection of variety of performance based on work of the students, while the other like Rubik's Cube that is used for scoring tools for students' performance. Number 4. Performance tests enhance instructions. The following are characteristics of performance tests except A. Performance tests provide options of responses. B. Performance tests can be integrated in lessons. C. Performance tests assess processes. D. Performance tests assess products. Among these four letters, for me, the letter D, which is performance tests assess products, is the answer.
I'm Professor D. Gatok and I'm here to answer one of the question in our group. To maximize the amount of time for performance-based assessment, which one should be done? A. Plan A task can be used for instruction and assessment at the same time. B. Assess one subject for one performance task. C. Set objectives only for cognitive domain. D. Link the task to one meeting only. My answer is letter A. Plan A task can be used for instructional and assessment at the same time. Because if you can plan something, you can identify the goals of the performance-based assessment. Select the appropriate course standards, review assessment and identify learning gaps, design the scenario, gather or create some materials, develop a learning plan, scenario, and task.